8. Thank you so much for joining us once again. Now, we're going to be talking cycling up next, and who better to conduct that interview with our guest in our Cape Town studios than Valence. It's over to you.
Thank you very much, Ayanda. Well, a stage win, 7 top 5 finishes, 14 top 10 finishes, 4 days in the Polka Dot jersey, 5th best team and 13th in the general classification. That's what Team MTN-Qhubeka have to show after their debut at the Tour de France, when I joined my cyclist Bonga Ngqobane to chat a little bit more about the events and some of the achievements by MTN. A very good morning to you, Bonga, and welcome to Morning Live.
Very good morning to you too and our viewers at home.
All right. At the start, many people didn't know what to expect, of course, being a Tour de France debut from MTN-Qhubeka.
Yeah, we actually didn't expect that much from the MTN-Qhubeka guys, because it was the very first time for them going out in such big event, which is the Tour de France, which is, we all know that all the big teams from Europe, they're expecting to win that team, but then the MTN-Qhubeka has just shown us that this was for them, and they actually wanted to be there, and they wanted to raise the African cycling, which is they actually did now. Seeing that Daniel got the Polka Dot jersey for 4 days, and seeing Steve coming up on the next Monday that day, winning the stage, which was something very interesting to see that the African cycling has actually grown from step by step. Yeah.
For you as a cyclist yourself, what does it mean for you to have seen MTN-Qhubeka on that stage and on that platform?
Once again, the MTN-Qhubeka guys, they've shown us that if the African cycling can be taken into note, and then our funders can take note of cycling development in Africa and also in South Africa, that means that in the next coming years, 5 to 10 years, we'll see more of the riders from South Africa or from Africa, from the disadvantaged communities, going out and competing in Tour de France and giving us good results, which is now, it's something now, again, the opportunity for African teams and also for South African teams to go out and compete. But then, due to the lack of funding, then we won't see such movement happening. But then, the MTN-Qhubeka, again, is here for us to prove that cycling in Africa and cycling in South Africa, it can grow.
Of course, one criticism would be, however, that the team is not solely made up of people from the continent, and the fact is that some of the GC riders are guys from Europe. So as much as they are a South African cycling team, are they really achieving as much as we like to think that they are in terms of developing cycling in the country?
Again, yeah, it is a question that someone can ask why they've got riders like Barcelona from overseas. Again, it's a question that needs to be asked. The reason why they put in such riders is because they have an experience of racing in stage race. Again, South African riders, we don't have experienced riders that can ride in Tour de France and that can also put us in the marketing eye. Also, we actually suffering from producing good riders that can perform in a stage race such as Tour de France. Again, it's a question that needs to be raised to our government. It's a question that needs to be raised to our SASCO, that they need to focus on cycling in South Africa, also in our townships, which is the Khayelitsha, which is Soweto, which is Kamnandi. They need to come in ground, they need to fund the organization and make sure that we produce riders that can go and ride Tour de France, that can make up the team. That now, again, we're questioning ourselves why MTN-Qhubeka is putting the European riders. It's because they don't have riders from Africa that can compete into that level of Tour de France.
So you say that South Africa doesn't have the riders. Is there enough of an appetite, however, in South Africa for the sport when we're in a country that love football, love rugby, love cricket, and love boxing?
Yeah, lovely. Cycling has not been taken as one of the sports that is can make difference in our communities, because that cycling is not yet in Africa have grown into such a stage that can be like in Europe it is. Now in Africa or South Africa, cycling is not too much, but soccer, rugby, they are too much. There's big funding that have been put out there for soccer and for rugby. But then again, we need to change that perspective. us as an organization in the grounds, we need to work and make sure that we voice out that cycling, it's one of the sports that can grow. It's one of the sports that can change the communities.
Yeah, it certainly is. And one would hope that from the kind of coverage that MTN-Qhubeka have gotten and the fact that the South African flag was flown there, that it has created a lot more interest and that young boys and girls will be able to see cycling as another opportunity and another option for a sport that they maybe want to undertake.
Yes, it is an opportunity for us. But again, let's remember that there's always moments like this that people will be overexcited about what MTN-Qhubeka has done. But again, we need to take note that if people are excited, then the funding needs to be put in so that we can push the process and make sure that we actually producing the riders that coming next year, that can go and ride for us in the MTN-Qhubeka team. But again, now there's a question that Mark Cavendish is going to go into MTN-Qhubeka, which is now it's a question why MTN-Qhubeka is putting Mark Cavendish.
Okay, so it's not something that you would welcome. I mean, because we know that there are rumours of that. So it's not something as a cyclist yourself you would welcome to see Mark Cavendish on MTN-Qhubeka team?
From the marketing perspective, yes, I do welcome it because if we put in Mark Cavendish, then he's going to come in and then big companies will come into the MTN-Qhubeka team again. But again, if we put in Mark Cavendish, he's about to retire in cycling again. Why we don't give youngsters from our townships, why we don't give our youngsters from the communities to go out and take the part in the Tour de France. Like there's Nicolas Lamine, there's Songato Jim, there's other riders. But then if we don't focus again into development, it's going to be a question why we're taking a rider that is about to retire in cycling to put in the MTN-Qhubeka team.
Bonga, but you know, at the end of the day, cycling and cycling teams, they are businesses and they rely on sponsorship and they rely on those things in order to be able to compete at these various World Tour events. Perhaps maybe we're putting too much expectation on a model that is not built for development.
First of all, cycling, actually, the federations, the main vision behind when we start this cycling organization is to change the community, is to impact the disadvantaged communities. But again, if we change our mindset and put it as cycling as a business, then surely we won't get to a point where we actually developing the communities, but then we'll get into a point where we're destroying the communities because we'll be focusing on cycling for the sake of getting incentives into our pockets. But then if we focus on development and actually fast-track the development process, then surely we'll get to a point where we'll see that now cycling is not a business, but cycling is for development. And also then if we get more funding and also get more of our riders competing, then sponsors will come in. We won't take cycling as a business.
Yeah. Bonga, what do you make of the Tour de France and because obviously when we watch the Tour de France and when we watch the Vuelta and when we watch the Giro, those are the grand tours, those are the world tours, and that's the top echelons of the sport, and they are not necessarily focused on the development. But if there is something very positive that we can take from MTN-Qhubeka's performance on the world stage that will affect communities and will affect development, what is it?
Yeah, again, MTN-Qhubeka now has shown that Africa and South Africa has good quality of riders. Again, that the teams from Europe will come down to South Africa or to Africa to seek for good riders that they actually put into their teams that then actually perform into a level where we'll actually see good results from them. And now, again, if MTN-Qhubeka is the only team from Africa that competes in the continental cycling, again, it's a question that one needs to ask, why is the only MTN-Qhubeka team? But because we have many teams from South Africa, from Africa, that can also be given an opportunity to go there, but then funding is not there for us to actually take our cycling organization. Again, it's a question that one needs to ask, why surely MTN-Qhubeka is going to open opportunities for us. It's one. In the next coming 3 to 2 years, it's something that we're going to see big companies from Europe, big companies from South Africa wanting now to invest in cycling because MTN-Qhubeka has opened doors, has created opportunities for us.
They certainly have, and they've also created a lot of opportunities for the people that they provide bicycles for, because it is, of course, a charity arm, Qhubeka. They actually raise funds in order to be able to give bicycles to different people in different communities. So thank you very much for chatting to us, Bonga Ngqobane from our Cape Town studios, just chatting to us about the feats of MTN-Qhubeka at the Tour de France this year. One stage win, also enjoying a couple of days in the Polka Dot jersey, thanks to Daniel Tekla-Heimanat, as well as a number of top 10 finishes. And then, of course, the big one, the team ending 5th at the Tour de France. It's a major achievement for the team. It's time now for Morning Live to take a break. Stay with us.